Good morning, everyone. My name is Rachel, and I'm your host for Furlongs and Horses. It is Monday, August 18th, 2014, and this is just going to be a bit of a recap video. Actually, it will be a recap video all on, uh, and I'm just doing this via YouTube's webcam thing. I'm not 100% sure because Quicktime kind of failed on me today, which I was not quite happy about. Anyway, this is going to be a recap of this past weekend's big races and a preview for this week. Yes, I said this week, not this weekend, because there's going to be a crazy week ahead for racing. So let's go ahead, get into it. Stop Charging Maria won the Alabama. I don't think she really beat that much in that race. She was one of the two horses to beat with Unbridled Forever, and Unbridled Forever didn't show up. Joint Return ran well for second, but I was very impressed by the third place finisher, Miss Bessie Lou, who should improve with age. My picks, none of them showed up. Got lucky. Um, Miss Bessie Lou actually did show up, and size but got lucky, and size did not run at all. It looks like either the Cotillion or the Beldame is next for Stop Charging Maria. If she goes in the Beldame, she'll probably be facing Close Hatches, Princess of Silmar, but we'll have to see if those two go after their race on Sunday in the Personal Ensign. But we'll have to, as we see what happens. Uh, I don't think these 3-year-old fillies are that strong this year. We've had great years of 3-year-old fillies in Rachel Alexandra's year, even though the focus was on her. There were some really nice fillies there. Same thing with Rags to Riches. She had a very strong 3-year-old crop supporting her. Of course, last year it was Princess of Silmar and Beholder. Both of them had strong supporting casts as well. But this year, Untappable doesn't seem to have that supporting cast. I mean, there is Stop Charging Maria, but as I said, usually you see horses, like multiple horses, win some good stakes, and I haven't seen that happen this year. Um, but I do think Sweet Reason is probably going to be Untappable's challenger, but she's more of a one-turn horse than a two-turn horse. So she's more likely to be a filly and mare sprint candidate than she is a distaff, because at Santa Anita, it is a two-turn race. Moving on to the undercard of the Alabama, the Lake Placid was won by Crown Queen, who is a half-sister to Royal Delta. So she's another one being by Smart Strike, who should improve with age, like Royal Delta did. She was good at 3, great at 4, kind of okay at 5, but that was more than enough to win, her Final Eclipse Award last year. Um, but so we'll have to see if she goes to QE2 um, or the Fireball. I have a feeling she'll be going to the QE2 and then take the rest of the year off and get ready for next year to get ready for the Breeders' Cup, because that it doesn't necessarily 3-year-olds don't always have the greatest record for the filly and mare turf when it comes to the Breeders' Cup. So that was Saturday at Saratoga. And then also Saturday at Arlington. I'm sorry about that. Um, was their international festival of racing. I'm just going to be focusing on the four big races. I'm not going to focus on the Hatuf because there were two divisions and it was listed stake. And even though one of the races that I'm going to talk about was also listed stake, it will very likely be a grade 2 or grade 3 next year. Grade 2. Probably grade 2. Not quite grade 1 quite yet. Um, but that is the American State Ledger. And the defending champ, Dandino, was in the race, but he might have moved a little bit too late to catch the winner, and that was the Pizza Man, who is the local in the race. I don't think he is strong enough to go in the turf, and unfortunately, there's no marathon turf race for the Breeders' Cup, so he'll I'm not 100% sure what to think about him. But it was a big win for Illinois breds, as he is an Illinois bred. Dandino was second. He ran well. I just and he was closing Egypt, but it looked like a little bit that he was spinning his wheels a little bit towards the end. But that might just been my eye, because he was coming, but he just not enough time. So we'll see where he goes. Probably Melbourne Cup, possibly um, down in Australia. Uh, we're gonna have to see where he does. As for the Pizza Man, um, I don't know where he'll go because Midwest turf season I think ends earlier than on the East Coast and the West Coast because well West Coast goes all year round. Um, but because of the weather situation there. Um, so he might have to go to synthetic for his next race, even though there aren't that many synthetic races left in the U.S. as Keeneland is now back to dirt and Del Mar after their fall meet will be back to dirt. Um, but Arlington will stay with the poly. Um, the next race after the St. Ledger was the Grade 1 Secretariat, and Tourist almost did it all the way, and it would have been a big win because the U.S. would have gone up 2-0 over the Europeans. But Adelaide, who ran great in the Belmont Derby, which was formerly the Jamaica, um, won the Secretariat. Tourist was second. I believe Adelaide was just sold to Australian Connections. So I think he is going to the Cox Plate, which is at the same distance. And it's usually, I think, 2 weeks before the Melbourne Cup. So that will probably be his next start. Probably not a Melbourne Cup candidate this year, just because of the distance of 2 miles. Um, Then there was the grade 1 Beverly D. And I picked I'm Already Sexy in this race. But at the time, I really didn't realize she was that big of a long shot. But I decided, you know what, take a chance. She knows the surface really well. And she ran pretty well, from what I saw on Twitter from her um, managing partner of the group that owns her. They were happy with her finish in 6th. So you know what? If the owners are happy, that's a good um, win-win situation for me at least. Euro Charlene, who I said was the best of the Europeans, won. Stephanie's Kitten uh, again surprised me like she did in Diana. She got second. She's probably Flowerball bound. Euro Charlene is actually moving to a U.S. trainer, and it looks like the Huey 2 is next for her against her own age. Um, so we'll have to see there. But that turf division, it looks like, um, at least for fillies and mares, Stephanie's kitten is back, and she's back with a vengeance. So we'll have to see if she can finally put everything together and get back into the winner's circle, which she hasn't been in for a while. And finally, the big race of the day was the Arlington Million. Of course, like the Beverly D, it was a win you're in, and can I have a redo? As I said on my previous video for the Arlington Million, I said that I love hard spuns, but I did not trust hardest core because he was taking a major step up in class, from a listed stake to a grade 1. First off, I have no clue what happened with Real Solution. He did not run. Magician ran his race. Side Glance ran his race. Up with the Birds ran his race. Real Solution did not run his race. I have no clue what happened. So it's going to be back to the drawing board. And the winner was Hardest Core. I know. I went against my better judgment and went against one of my favorite stallions, Wolves. But I did it. I went against Hardest Core. And he pulled off the shocker. Honestly, it's not as big a shock to me as now that a couple of days have passed. I mean, last year he had shown some promise when he was with Kieran McLaughlin and Adina. He ran for their partnership, Goat Zapper Racing. Um, he was second in the stroll to balance the books. Um, I believe it was Balance Books. Won the first race of Saratoga for the year. So he had a lot of promise. Sold at Keeneland. His owner, Andrew Bentley, has Down syndrome. The trainer, Eddie Graham, is primarily known for his steeplechase horses, but he is 5 for 6 for flat horses on the year. Amazing story. After he was gelded, I guess they did poor suture job the after during the gelding process, and he lost, I believe, 18 feet of the intestine. Which sounds gross, but that's what happened to him. He almost died. 4 for 4 with his new connections. His jockey uses Vaz, and I'm still not 100% sure how to pronounce his first name. Is probably best known for a couple of years ago. This, I think, we even made national news. Two jockeys basically attacked each other during the race. Vaz was the attacker, not the victim, and I believe he got suspended from Parks when it was, I believe, still Philadelphia Park. And then another situation that I'm not going to get into happened, I believe, 2 years after. But it looks like he is remorseful, has turned his life around, and he is riding at Parks again. So that's the big thing is that Hardest Core, is now in the Breeders' Cup Turf. The mile and a half distance won't be a problem because his prep, I can't believe I'm going to say this, the Cape Henlopen at Delaware, which is, it hadn't been run for a couple of years actually, but it's traditionally the race before the Delaware Handicap. It was run again this year, and he won it, and that's set in a mile and a half. Actually have some pretty nice winners. I believe Silvertree won it one year. Actually, I think he won it the year that Shake the Bank, um, who I'll talk about again in a few minutes, um, ran in the Cape Henlopen. So congrats to Eddie Graham, Andrew Bentley, and everyone that is associated with Hardest Core. So there's a very good chance that Hearts Fun could have a son in the turf and a son in the classic, which I'll talk about Mr. Wicked Strawn in a few minutes. Sunday was the Sword Dancer, and this had Imagining, I forget who else was in it. I know it happened yesterday, or I forget. But the winner was Main Sequence, 2 for 2 now in the US. He by far is the best turf horse right now, at least who is currently in form uh, for the Americans, because he's now an American horse. He's started here twice. Um, and after what happened to Magician was second in the million, and Sidelands was third. And I believe both of those horses will be back for the turf. The U.S. actually has a good chance to beat the Europeans this year because Magician is really not in form. Side Glance is old. I mean, he's running great, but he is 7 now. Getting back to Main Sequence, just basically random down like Better Talk Now. And actually, Better Talk Now won the Sword Dancer in '04 before he beat Kitten's Joy and Power Sport in the turf. And the reason why I'm bringing up Shake the Bank now is that as Better Talk Now got a little bit older, he needed a pace setter, and Shake the Bank was that pace setter. And I was very happy to see Shake the Bank. I think it was like '07 or '08. It was not '06 because I didn't start going to the Delaware Handicap until '07. I think it was '08. I saw Shake the Bank run at Delaware. But Main Sequence, Hardest Core, and Taurus, Mr. Speaker, who is going to the Travelers, but is probably a better turf horse than he is dirt. The Western turf horses, who unfortunately are kind of escaping me. I know there's Big John B, or Big, yeah, or something like that. It's another Heartspun horse who has a good chance to be in the turf, but he, I think, is going in the Del Mar Handicap in his next race. You know what? As we get closer to more win year ends, I'll know more about these turf horses more. But that is basically a weekend recap for this past weekend's 6 races. This is gonna be a crazy week. The biggest thing is that on Wednesday it's the Jumpnut International in Europe. Australia, who is probably not a BC candidate this year, but for next year, is in the race. He is a son of Ouija Board, who of course won the Filly Mare Turf twice. She could have even possibly won the turf if her connections had given her the chance, but they did not. She was also second in between her wins for the Breeders' Cup. Then the Nunthorpe, which is the only 6 in Europe that I know of that is 2 and up, but the when you're in it, it's going to be for 3 and up, because it's for the turf sprint. Um, Also this weekend is the personal ensign when you're in for the distaff Pacific Classic, which will be shared belief, game on dude. I'm sure. Oh yeah, Majestic Harbor, Clubhouse Ride. So a lot of good California horses in action this weekend. Um, but the big race is going to be the Travelers at Saratoga. Tonalist, Mr. Speaker, V.E. Day, who won the Curlin. Um, Probably going to be seen also, of course, Wicked Strawn, who I'll talk about when I do my Travelers video on Wednesday, along with Tonalist and V.E. Day, Mr. Speaker. I think there are a couple other horses um, in there, but of course the horses to be are going to be Tonalist and Wicked Strawn again. Probably Kid Cruz is going to be there. Um, so it should be a very nice traveler field, even without California Chrome. And finally, this is where we're really going to start seeing the preparations get really ramped up as we because Super Saturday is a little bit about over a month away, and I'm hoping to be at Belmont that day because I'll be in New York area that weekend for a family thing. But I will have Saturday open, thankfully. Um, and then we will get into really the final preparations for that after Super Saturday, which will begin them. And there's just a lot of stuff to do. So check back here over the next couple of days. I will have videos for the Travelers, Personal Ensign, and the Pacific Classic. And I'll check you on you later. Bye.